Hey guys, so I've just finished building one of the new Armattan Rooster frames. Just wanted to share some initial impressions, talk a little bit about its Maiden, talk through some of the pros and cons for the design. Bear with me a little bit, this is my first video talking about a specific product. Very impressed overall though. There she is. Just one or two positives and negatives that I want to share with you. There's an issue with the screws that they include with the kit at the moment. They're the ones that go through the titanium cage and the arm mounts. They go through to screws that are, they go through to some nuts that are pressed in inside. You can just about see them there. Basically the screw heads aren't deep enough, so they strip out very easily. Armattan have already published a video documenting the issue, and if you email their support in, they're happy to send you a replacement set, 1.5mm depth instead of the 1mm that they ship with, so thumbs up to Armattan, hopefully that'll cover it off. Couple of positives on there, the titanium, it's so impressive. It's such a tight tolerance as well, to get it to fit into the bottom of the frame. As you see here, it sandwiches the front arm and the bottom plate, and to get the fit on there, you actually end up using a bit of force on there, maybe give it a little tap against a desk or a hammer. It doesn't even scratch it. It's very impressive stuff. But one negative on there, where the FPV cam mounts, prop out of the way. Okay, so I've got a Rotor Riot Runcam Swift 1 in here, but I'm going to have to change the case on there because this only uses the vertical screws for being able to lock the angle in, whereas on this, and I guess a lot of other cameras that are still out there, you've got the screws behind to lock the angle in, so something to bear in mind. Overall though, it's a faultless design. You can see I've just used a bit of blue tack in the meantime so the angle doesn't change, but overall very impressive. One or two other little negatives. The GoPro angle on the Chameleon, you could adjust it. You have 4 pieces at the front and you could adjust it, but on this it's fixed, so the angle's probably 35 degrees maybe, which is spot on really, but you can't change it to suit your preference. Not a big deal, but worth mentioning. The build, a little bit fiddly on the frame. There's not a lot of space inside, as you can see. I've squeezed a full-size X4R-SB underneath the flight controller there, just using what I had around, and a Unify Pro mounted to the rear. One of the space issues leaves you a question of where to run the XT60. In Armattan's pre-built models, they seem to prefer to run them out the front, but potentially could cause an issue in a frontal collision. It's going to push the battery up against it, maybe cause an issue. You can run it out the back as well if you don't use their antenna mounts, which is a bit of a shame because they're well designed, but if you use the additional carbon plate that they put in the pack, which is only intended for using with the Unify Pro, everybody uses a Unify anyway, don't we? Anyway, if you use that, you can run the XT60 underneath and it comes out quite tidy. And it's all nice and solid, there's no movement on any of that. And I've just gone with the old school cable tie approach for the antennas. No problems there. I'll show you some footage from the Maiden. I was really impressed with it. It felt very smooth to fly. For the weight, maybe I could have gone with slightly more powerful motors. I've got the Armattan Oomph velvet motors on there. They're 2206 motors, 2300 kV. Maybe some 2306 motors might motivate a bit more, but it was butter smooth. All the PIDs and so on out the box, more or less default, just bump them up a little bit from experience, and she was beautifully smooth, and no kind of jello or vibrations, or barely any prop wash, to be honest. Take a look at the footage, see for yourselves.